The Star Wars franchise has been off the big screen for 6.5 years now and has primarily existed on streaming, but The Mandalorian is the flagship television series. For its cinematic return, it's interesting Lucasfilm has elected for continuation of said show with The Mandalorian and Grogu. Jon Favreau does not depart too heavily from what made the show entertaining by presenting a story of this bounty hunter going off on a mission with his faithful buddy. As a Star Wars adventure goes, it's pretty small scale, but there is enough investment in Mando and especially Grogu, and it functions as the sort of B-movie serial George Lucas was heavily influenced by. Admittedly, I'm looking at this as someone who enjoys Star Wars but is not precious about the franchise. I watch these movies to see fun space adventures with some political subtext thrown in. In the case of this movie, the appeal is seeing Mando journey to these alien worlds and seeing the various creatures he comes across. Watching The Mandalorian and Grogu, it's especially clear that Jon Favreau has immense fascination with the creatures who populate that galaxy, with this movie throwing in plenty of new ones, and they do show the creativity hoped for in these movies. And as for returning characters from previous installments, Roda the Hutt provides an interesting element, as we see a Hutt with his own personality separate from what we've seen from his species, although it's Grogu, aka Baby Yoda, who remains the most likable element here. Ever since that puppet made its debut appearance at the end of the first episode, The Mandalorian, I've been on board the Baby Yoda train. He's such a fantastic piece of puppetry, and he's given so much personality by the effects team. The highlight of this movie even comes from a sequence that's focused on Grogu and is done almost entirely without dialogue. I'm a sucker for that kind of visual storytelling, and Favreau allows the puppeteers and Ludwig Göransson's score to elevate this section of the film. Speaking of Göransson's score, it provides a strong component, and another example of why he's probably one of the best film composers working today. The action is directed with the needed energy, including the cold opening, where Mando fights some stormtroopers, although that opening makes it seem like the movie will tackle the Empire not letting go of the lost and return the Jedi, but it's only lightly touched upon after that. Mando does get beat up a lot and pulverized in this movie, which does give him a certain amount of vulnerability. The villains showcased here are not particularly interesting. There's someone staging gladiator matches, but he's kind of a bore. Same goes for the other adversaries Mando faces off against. Despite the jump to the big screen, The Mandalorian and Grogu does not depart too heavily from the approach taken with the series. The argument could be made that this could have functioned as a couple of episodes rather than a feature film. It primarily serves as a catch-up with these characters and seeing what new missions Mando goes on and what creatures he and Grogu get to meet along the way. And it is enjoyable seeing him fly from one planet to the next, even if the villains fall short. It's hardly groundbreaking on a story level and does not even expand the lore in a major way. But then I remember that Star Wars is partly based on Saturday matinee serials, and so judging it on that level, it works fine as a piece of entertainment.